Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage and welcome to a brand new series of Prison Architect. It's been a while since I played this game. In fact, the last time I played it, it was still in early access. The game has now been released, although the developers are still making additions to it all the time and making changes and things like that. But I recently started playing it again. I just messed around with the campaign for a little bit to sort of re-familiarise myself with it. They've added a few new features and things since I last played. And I'm never really sure how to describe these games, what the genre is. I guess they've always technically been classed as simulation, although realistically they're more arcade simulations because they're not, simulating anything. But they're probably in the same sort of vein as things like Theme Park and Theme Hospital, and maybe to a further extent things like SimCity and The Sims and things like that. And as the name might suggest, if you're not familiar with Prison Architect, you take the control of a warden and you have to build and maintain a prison. So we're not going to bother with the campaign. We're going to go and start a new sandbox prison. So you can choose whether you're running a male or female prison. And then you can choose the warden. And different warden types give you different penalties and bonuses. Although I think they're all basically bonuses you get. So the standard warden is just balanced. Then you've got the lobbyist, which halves the likelihood of receiving prisoners who are violent, lethal, volatile, deadly, or fighters. So you're less likely to get problematic prisoners. Then you've got Rita. She halves the likelihood of prisoners being stoical or fearless. So prisoners who are stoical or fearless will basically, they just don't care. They will literally just run into a fight. They're not bothered. And prisoners are also suppressed twice as quickly. So again, both of those are bonuses. Then you've got J.W. Periwinkle. Guard dogs have a 50% chance of fully uncovering any tunnels they detect. Then you've got the pacifier. Reduces the overall temperature of the prison, making your inmates less likely to cause trouble. And then there's Safara, is that right? Safara Aknova. Gets a small cut of the resale value of each piece of contraband found, and prisoners with contraband will be fined directly from their savings. So you make a little bit of extra money. We're just going to go with the standard guy. I think we want a medium-sized plot. You can extend the plot later on by paying for it. We'll have the fog of war in the forests as usual. We're not going to bother with lakes because they are experimental. We don't want sort of random derelict buildings around the place because we only end up having to knock them down anyway. We will have the failure conditions on, which means we can get fired if things go too bad. I don't think we'll have gangs on for this playthrough because it's been a while since I played and I'll probably be difficult enough anyway. Or the events, we don't want unlimited funds. But I think I will turn weather and temperature on. Adds changing weather and varying temperatures to your prison, requiring you to think about heating. So that could certainly be something interesting. So let's go ahead and go with that. So here we are, we have a nice big new plot. And I'm going to pause the game before any time passes. So we start with $30,000 in the bank, but there is some way to increase that. So the only thing that we start with, as you will see, is we've got a spot for garbage and a spot for deliveries. The first thing we're going to do is make both of those a little bit larger. So let's go into rooms. And you're going to have to bear with me. It's going to start taking me a long time to sort of find stuff because it's been a while since I've played. So we're going to select the garbage one. And we're going to extend that out. And we're going to get the deliveries one. And we're going to extend that out as well. Because we'll have a lot of stuff going in and out. And it always makes sense to do that. Oh, the deliveries failed. Minimum size 1x3. Didn't like that for some reason, did it? No, it's fine. It was just messing with me. Can we unroom something? No, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so we've got a space for deliveries. We've got a space for the garbage. Now, there's a couple of ways that we can get some extra cash. So what we should be able to do, if I can remember how to do this. So we've got the CEO's letter. Dear Sir or Madam, congratulations on completing your basic induction. You are now a fully qualified prison architect. Soon you'll be designing, building and running your own prisons starting from nothing but an empty plot of land and a few stacks of bricks. Before you get started, I thought I might share some important lessons with you. Every prison needs a warden. He should be one of your first hires. Build him a nice office and he'll open up a whole range of advanced facilities via the bureaucracy system. Individual jail cells are expensive, especially early on when funds are very tight. Save money by starting with a single large holding cell, which can be shared between many prisoners at once. Get your kitchen and canteen up and running before the first prisoners show up, and be sure to hire some cooks. Nothing irritates a prisoner more than an empty stomach. Building a prison is an expensive undertaking, and you need to become a master of raising large volumes of money through grants and contracts. You can access these grants through the reports screens. That's about everything. Good luck. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So we will get a bonus here. Well, we've got some prisoners coming in. We've got 8 prisoners arriving at 8 AM, which is 24 hours away. We've got 2 minimal security and 6 normal security. Now, there is a way we can actually change that. So if we go into our reports, we want our intake prisoners. So we've got minimum and max mediums set coming in. We don't want any max prisoners coming in at the moment, so that's fine. But we want to go to grants, and at the moment we can only pick 2 grants at a time. So what we want is Basic Detention Centre, which will give us... So Basic Detention Centre, turn an empty field into a functioning prison. This government contract gives you funds necessary to build the absolute minimum facilities for your first set of prisoners. So we need a holding cell? A holding cell with a shower, a yard, a kitchen, a canteen, at least 2 guards and at least 2 cooks. We can get that done. And we'll get a little bit of money in advance. So now we've got a $20,000 advance. And we also want the administration centre. Build 2 offices, hire a warden, unlock finance through the bureaucracy, and hire an accountant. So we're going to do that as well. So we can only take those 2 at a time, but that is basically done. So get rid of the CEO's letter now. We've got our first 8 workmen arriving. You do start with 8 workmen, which is a really good thing. So what we're going to want to do is build our detention centre. That's the first thing we're going to do. Don't make the mistake of trying to cram all of your prisoners into into individual cells at the beginning, because you won't be able to afford it. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to make a foundation. I think we'll do everything. Do we want brick or concrete? Let's do everything with brick. So I don't like to build too close to the edges, and there's a good reason for that later on. It's not too important right now, but we'll go ahead and do this. So we want to build a room that will contain our holding cell, which will probably be this one here. So we're going to go ahead and put that in. So they're the foundations. Now we do want to make sure that we've got certain doors in here. So let's go ahead and make sure we've got the access that we need. So what are we looking for? We're looking for objects, and we'll probably want some large jail doors. If I click the middle mouse button, they will rotate by 90 degrees. We can put those doors in. Now we're also going to need an office block, and we're going to need a canteen, and we're going to need a somewhere for them to eat as well. Now I tend to join both of those buildings together. So let's go again and try and line them up with the existing buildings. Now we do want to leave a little bit of a gap between them. Now obviously this is a prison. What you've got to remember is you don't want people running free. So you need to have some sort of way of keeping everyone separate. And you will undoubtedly have to make these buildings bigger at some point. Let's go for 26. That's probably enough. And we're going to, once again, need a doorway so that we can get in and out. So we'll probably have a large jail door, maybe right in the middle. And we're going to put the kitchen in here as well. So we will let our game run, because we need the workmen to come in. Oh, and before we do that, we also need to build the offices as well. Just remembered. So we need an admin block here, really. So let us go for roundabout here. So we need some offices. Not too sure what the size is that they have to be now, but that's probably going to be long enough. Well, we can always extend this later on, can't we? But that's probably going to be long enough for now. So this is going to be the office block. And what we want to do in here is we want to put in a staff door, because we don't want to have to keep waiting for the... we put a couple of staff doors in. We don't want to have to keep waiting for prison guards to come and open and close these doors to let the people, the staff in and out. So we'll go ahead and do that. So let's unpause the game and let that run. Now we're also going to want to make sure that we build a fence around the perimeter. Fences are relatively cheap, and we can keep moving them. So we don't need to have a fence going around the entire perimeter just yet. But we can get a cheap one going. So if we go to materials and we want to build a perimeter fence, because they're dirt cheap, really. So we'll start from the wall over here. And we'll leave a bit of space because we want to give the prisoners a yard that they can use. Now, ideally what you would do later on is build your walls and fences that are making your prison perimeter double thick. And you'd leave a gap of about 10 square meters between them. The reason for that is that people can come and throw things over the fence. And you don't want that to happen. But at least... oh, we need to fill that gap in there. But at least this will stop people getting in and out. So there'll only be 2 ways in and out of the prison, which will be the door here and the door that is there. But that is something that we will deal with as time goes on. So we've got to wait for the workmen to come along and get rid of all of these trees. It's going to take them approximately 24 hours. Well, we've got 24 hours to get everything done. So let's just go ahead and speed things up a little bit. Now, when you hire staff, they do arrive instantly. Now, the good thing is by chopping down the trees, you do actually... well, you can get wood later on. You can actually get money for chopping down trees. But the foundations are starting to go down now. And obviously we do want to get the fence in. We've already got one guy down here who is working on the perimeter fence. The fences do build really fast, which is a very nice thing. So we're just setting up all of the basics that we need to get going. Now, the first couple of times I played Prison Architect, I went straight into going, right, let's start planning things out and let's start building some cells. And things didn't go well. So there are a couple of other things that we are going to need to get in here as well, which it doesn't actually mention in the CEO's letter, which is a little bit weird. Oh, we've found a little note here. Prison-wide tension level. Currently, prisoners kick off too easily and too unpredictably. There is very little build-a-poor warning. New concept. Oh, so these are like developer notes that you can find around the place. That's quite interesting. I've already found a couple of them. Forgot that they were in there. Let's get out of that. So, as I said, there's a couple of other things that we do need to build which weren't mentioned. And those things are power stations. Apparently we have one. Oh no, we have them in stock. The number at the bottom means we already have one, even though it's not necessarily built. So, we want to be able to build ourselves a power station and a water pump. And we need to get power going to all of these things here. So what we want to do is we want to build ourselves a... let's build the power station here. Now we will need to leave some room around it to put in the capacitors, because the capacitors basically work a little bit like batteries, and they allow the power station to build up some charge. We'll probably want to build a wall around it as well. We're also going to need a water pump. We'll probably put these two things together in a single building. So, because yeah, I'll put a building around them so that we can keep them sort of safe from the prisoners. And we'll probably have a water boiler as well. We'll build that when we come to it. So what we can do with this is we can just basically get a concrete wall. And we don't actually... these aren't going to be rooms. So, I need to cancel that and make it a little bit further away. These aren't going to be rooms. So we don't actually need a foundation here. Just trying to make sure that I leave adequate room for people to walk around where they need to. And we are going to want to put a staff door in there as well. So objects and staff door right in the middle. That should get that sorted out. Let's go back into letting the game run again. So let's just keep the staff away from that. We'll have to build more and more of these as the prison becomes larger. So as you can see, we've already burnt through 20,000 of our sort of 50,000 starting amount. And if you don't realise that you have to take those grants early on, that can be very, very problematic. We've still got a fair few hours before our first prisoners arrive. So let's just speed things up and allow our workmen to get things done. It's going to take that guy a while to go all the way around the perimeter fence. But it shouldn't be too bad. We can always remove the back wall and extend this utilities block further north and move the fence later on. Because that's what we'll have to do. Just the reason why I'm only building a fence and I'm not building like a really expensive concrete wall all the way around. So the detention block is now finished. Now, it doesn't have any power at the moment. There's no lights on, but that is fine. So what we want to do is we want to make this into an actual functioning detention block. So let's go ahead and start building some brick walls. Where are we? Brick walls. So what we want to do is this bottom bit wants to be like a sort of a corridor almost. So this is going to be our detention block. So we want to have, let's say, some walls coming in from either side, there and there. That leaves us enough room to put in a large jail door in the middle. And we also need to make sure that we've got somewhere where the prisoners can shower, because there does need to be a shower. So we'll go back to the brick wall. I keep losing it. And we want the shower area. Now, we don't want the shower area to be too large. But we will put the shower area in here, I think, like that. So that's going to be our shower. So we'll put some objects in. We want to make sure that we've got a couple of drains in there to stop all of the water getting out. We want to make sure that we have some shower heads in here. So our prisoners can shower. Like so. Now, there's a few other things that we need to have. We need to have at least one toilet in there. And it also needs to have... What does it need to have? Well, it needs to have at least... needs to have a bench, at least. I'm looking for benches. There's a bench. So we'll get in a couple of benches if we can. So we'll get one bench on this side. We'll get one bench in on this side. And then what we'll do is we'll put a couple of beds in as well. So nobody wants to sleep right next to the toilet, but sometimes it's what you gotta do. I think you can actually put them right next to each other. I think they can still access them. They access them from the foot of the bed instead of from the sides. So that should be okay. So obviously we do need to get the power in there as well. So let's go back and allow that to continue building. So we should have all of the basics that we need for the holding cell. There we go. We've now got most of the what is going to be the canteen finished. Now this is also going to need a separating wall to separate the kitchen itself from the canteen. So let's go ahead and make these walls like so. We probably just want a staff door here. That's probably enough for us. So let's go ahead and make this into a staff door. Let's start assigning some rooms. So we need to wait until that's actually built though. So we'll wait for that. This block hasn't really been started on yet. Now we still don't have power, but they still haven't installed the sort of power supply. They are working on that. A lot of them seem to be working on the fence at the moment. So that is okay. Lots of stuff getting left around. Obviously all this needs to get cleared up. But having that perimeter fence is going to be an important thing. We probably want to have at least one window in there. I don't think you necessarily need one, but it does make people a little bit happier. I was going to say, I was sure there was more stuff than what's listed there. I could just search for it, of course, which is usually the much quicker way of doing things. Why does that not let me slide up and down sometimes? There we go. Window, there we are. So we can go ahead and just put in a couple of windows. We don't really want to have a window in the shower, I don't think. I think that was a tree coming down. It was a very worrying sound there. I was just like, what was that? It was just a tree going down. So they're starting to build this stuff in there as well. So we're going to need water and power going into the kitchen, as well as water coming down here into the shower block. So that's fine. So let's make sure we've also got that assigned on the utilities here. So what we want to do, first of all, let's go and get the power cable sorted. So this is going to be our power. We need to have the water pump connected to the power, or that's not going to work. So let's bring our power out. I usually run cables and pipes and things under walls. I generally find it is often a safer option to do it that way, because things are relatively covered. You can't always do it that way, but that should be fine. Let's run that power cable down there. This power cable is going to have to come down into the kitchen anyway. We'll see how far they need to reach. Now, we also need some water pipes. So we can run these water pipes down here. Now, we're definitely going to need to run into the kitchen. So let's run down to the wall. And we'll actually run all the way down to this wall. Now, water pipes and Water pipes and electricity pipes and electricity cables can overlap, so that's not a problem at all. And we could run some smaller pipes through there if we wanted to. Toggles the availability of any water to any pipe connected to it, so we might need to turn that on. Power's consumption is relatively low at the moment, so we're also going to have to go in this direction with the water. So what we might want is the ability to turn off the showers. I don't think we will need to, but we'll do that. And then what we'll do is we'll use these small pipes. And the reason you use small pipes is prisoners, believe it or not, can actually tunnel out through the large pipes, but they can't tunnel out through the small pipes. So that makes things a little bit safer. So we'll allow these guys to carry on doing their things. It is currently 6 PM. We will have prisoners arriving relatively soon. But I think we're doing fairly well. We've got this perimeter wall all built, which is nice. We're getting these cables put in. We are starting to work on this admin block here. We do need to fill this in. So first of all, let's go and assign some rooms. This is going to be our kitchen. And this is going to be our canteen. Now, these are both failing because it doesn't have a fridge, a cooker, or a sink. So it needs to have that. So let's go into objects. So cookers. We need to have some cookers in here. Let's put the cookers at the bottom because it's easier to get the water in from the top. So we'll put 4 cookers in. And we also want to get some fridges in. So let's put some fridges in here as well. We need to have a bin in here. So let's go and pop the bin in just there. We've got the fridges. We need a sink. I'm losing sinks. There's the sinks. Sinks can go in at the top, so they're going to be directly next to the water. In fact, I'm going to cancel that bin and place the bin up here, I think. So that should be the kitchen done. And then this up the top here is going to be the canteen. So what we need here, we need at least 2 serving tables. I'm not sure which is the front and which is the back on these things. I can never remember which way is which. I think that's the grilled side is the front side. So the serving tables can go there and there. We need to get a few tables in and some benches. So let's make sure that we leave room to get the benches either side of them. We need a little bit of room for people to walk around. You do tend to get lots of riots and things going on in here. So there's a bench, then a gap, then a bench, then the table. And then a bench, a gap, a bench, and the table. So that they should be the right distance apart. So if we go and select the benches now, which I've lost again. There we are, benches. So we can put these benches either side. And it still leaves room for some people to get around. Now, obviously, it's still saying that we haven't qualified them yet because they haven't received all of the bits and pieces they need. They've not all been installed yet, but they soon will. Things are going well over here, so we need to assign this area, but we will do that in the next video. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you are still enjoying Prison Architect, even though this is only video 1, so I'm not sure why I said that, but I will see you next time, and until then, goodbye for now.